everybody. In this video, we're going to talk about the Magician card. It is the second card in the major arcana after the Fool, which is number 0. So the Magician is number 1. And it is about taking those first steps towards something, like the first like concrete steps. Like, yes, the Fool is the beginning of the journey in like a big sense, but the Magician is when you like actually start to act. And it's about your ability to act and to achieve things and to create things and to be able to use the resources and skills that you have to be able to actually manifest change in your reality. And it's also about like your thoughts and how your thoughts affect your reality and how you have all of this um, power to change your life and change the way that you view your life just by like working with your own mind. It's about creativity. It's about magic. The Magician card is also about your potential and your abilities and like being at like the right time to get something done, like just like having like that perfect timing. Um, it's also about the like you see in the card that there's like the red and the white flowers. So it's about like the passion that you feel towards something and like the like drive to like do things combined with this like higher self that is trying to like create something like bigger than yourself and that is trying to like reach its highest potential. So, and like how you need to have both of those working. You need to be in touch with both sides of yourself and like be able to connect that to be able to like really reach that potential. It's about the idea of trickery and illusion, definitely too. We'll talk more about the card and its association with Mercury, who's like the trickster god, um, or Hermes, as he is known to the ancient Greeks. The magician can also be about your focus and your ambition, your aspirations, like how you are committed to a goal and your self-control, like of yourself and your actions, but also your thoughts, your control of your own mind. It is about your awareness of all of your resources, your awareness of reality, and like what you need to actually do to take steps forward. And in just like a broad sense, like one of my favorite keywords for the magician is like manifestation. Like, this is the card that you turn to when you want to think about like, okay, this is what I want to do. How do I do it? Can I do it? Like, what are my abilities here? What do I need to be able to move forward? How do I get in touch with something bigger than myself so that I can like feel like this is actually possible? So yeah, that's the magician. And we're going to talk about some of the symbolism in the card and also about Mercury and the magician. And later on, I have a spread that I created about the magician and working with it, as well as I'll also share some of my favorite cards, magician cards, like I did in the Fool video. And yeah, and then at the end, actually, probably in the comments for the video, I'm going to share a few books too that I love that I think are really cool for getting to better understand astrology and tarot, and that I particularly love when it comes to this topic. All right, so now we're going to look at the symbolism of the Magician card. So, of course, it depends on the deck what you're going to see in the image, but this is the most classic image illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is the things that he has on his table. So he has 4 items which each represent one of the elements and also one of the suits in the tarot. So you have the pentacle or the disc, which represents earth, and you have the cup, which represents water, and the sword for air, and the wand for fire. And these having these all at his disposal is like talking up, it's like showing how he has all these resources, he has all these abilities, he has the ability to connect all the elements and use them in balance and harmony to like really create change and really like manifest his goals, right? So that just shows like his personal power and his resources. It also, I also want to talk about his stance, the way that he's pointing up and then pointing down with each of his hands. So there's this idea of as above, so below, that is basically saying that like in astrology, what is going on in the cosmos is like affecting our lives here on Earth. But the original saying also included the idea of the opposite, as below, so above. And like here's a quote I included from Hermes Trismegistus, who is like this ancient writer, like even to like the ancient Hellenistic astrologers like Valens and Dorotheus, like Hermes was considered ancient. So he goes way back and we don't really know anything about him, or if it was like one person or if it was a name, because it was like referencing the god Hermes. And so we don't know if it's also just like something that was like attributed to him to give it like more power, or if it was like somebody who actually went by that name. But anyway, regardless, this idea has been really important and has lasted, for millennia. So that which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below to accomplish the miracles of the one thing. And the idea is that we are not just like pawns in some big cosmic game and that we have like no power of our own. Like, yes, we are affected by fate and chance and destiny and all of these ideas, but like also we have some power. We have the ability to like work with the universe to create, and that our minds are like so powerful and impressive. Like the human mind is an amazing thing. Like we barely even understand how amazing it is, right? And like how we can actually affect our reality. Is really amazing, like the more you learn about it. So this concept of like the way he's standing, it just references this idea that he can create change in his world by working with whatever like universal force you refer to it as, like divine will or like his inner power or the workings of the universe or the cosmos or whatever, like however you conceptualize it. And then that infinity symbol to me is just like it just references again to like that idea of like it's back and forth and back and forth, and it's not just one direction or the other. And in the next section of the video I'll talk about like Mercury and how he is this like back and forth god and back and forth planet, and so yeah, so I'll leave that there. But then there's also like the red and the white and the flower and like what he's wearing and the flowers, and the red representing like his passion, his ambition, like his like earthly drives, I guess. And then the white being more like his potential, his higher self, like the the ways that it's like, like the below and the above, and like the ways that he can like use his own abilities and resources to like work with something bigger than himself to like really make something and take like real steps in the world. All right, so in tarot, the planetary association, like from astrology, with the magician card is the planet Mercury. Every major arcana card is either associated with a zodiac sign or a planet. So for the magician, it's Mercury. And Mercury was a Roman god. Another name for him would be Hermes. That would be the Greek version, ancient Greek version. So one thing that Mercury or Hermes was known as is like the trickster god. He was super, super smart, right? And like really clever, but he didn't always use those for like the most ethical reasons. Like he did sometimes. He could be really helpful to especially to mortals. Like he was known for being like this like messenger between like gods and mortals. Um and he did use his intellect sometimes to help people. Um but sometimes he was just tricking gods, tricking people. So things aren't always as they seem with Hermes, also with the magician. Like he can be like a master of illusion and deceit. And especially it just depends on how it comes up in the reading, and like what cards are around it and like what the question is and like the placement and the spread and all that. So you have to kind of look at the context. Um, so I think that with Hermes being this like force of like things aren't quite as they seem. He's always like a couple steps ahead of everybody else. I think we really pick up on that during Mercury retrograde, when things get a little wonky and you can try to like force things to go how you want them to go, but it might not work out how you intended it to or how you were like set on things working out. And that like there's like this lesson with Mercury retrograde of just like learning to go with the flow and learning patience and learning that there's more than one way you can get something done. And just because something takes a little longer, it has to be done in a different way, doesn't mean it's like the end of the world. Um, And so I think that's one thing that like Mercury teaches us. And I think that with the magician having all of these abilities and plans and like he's working towards the goals, like he has to be able to go with the flow and he has to be able to um, reevaluate the steps as he's going, or else he's not going to reach the end site, the goal that he has in mind. Um, so yeah, so there's that. And I also think there's like this question of timing with retrogrades. Like a lot of people say, like, don't do this, this, or this during a Mercury retrograde. And I think it's really more about just like thinking about what is best, like what is the best timing for this thing. And like if things are feeling a little wonky and a little off, like maybe this isn't the best timing, but maybe it is. Like maybe this is like the perfect time to like really study something in depth. Like there are things that are like so well suited for Mercury retrogrades. And I think that when the magician card comes up in a spread or in a reading, it's like usually, I mean, unless there's like something else contradicting it, usually it's showing you like this is like the perfect time. Like you're timing things, you have the ability and the resources, but you also have the right timing. So that's important there. And I think also with Mercury being associated with the magician, that it's also a tie back to Hermes as like the messenger and as like a guide to the souls in the underworld. Like he would like guide the souls there. And I think that this has to do with like the fact that he's sort of like an in-between god and Mercury is sort of like an in-between planet. Like um for example, like it's Mercury is not considered either a benefic or malefic planet. It's neither like good or bad necessarily. It's neither of the day sect or the night sect. It can be an evening or a morning star. You can see Mercury in the morning in the east if he's at a far enough elongation from the sun that like he's rising far enough ahead of time of the sun that you can actually see Mercury in the sky above the horizon. And then like he disappears within the beams of the sun. And then when he reappears, he's in the west in the evening because he is behind the sun. So the sun sets and Mercury's far enough away that you can actually see him in the sky. So there's like this sort of in between, like you don't really know where, like, it's like, oh, here he is. Oh, now he's gone. Oh, there he is over there, So there's like that feeling with Mercury that he's like everywhere and nowhere at once. And in astrology, Mercury is also associated with having its planetary joy in the first house. And like this, I think has to do with the ascendant being in the first house and in whole sign astrology, whole sign houses in astrology, it's like the ascendant could be anywhere in the first house. So like part of the first house is above the horizon, part is below, and that in itself is very mercurial. Sorry. Um, and Mercury is associated with Gemini, the twins. So there's like that duality there, but then also Virgo. And with Virgo, like if you were to think about astrology like with a zero Aries chart, Virgo falls in the sixth house. And it's like this like really liminal place. It's like after the sun sets and you're um like it's passing from like day to night. And I think that also feels very mercurial. So how do we tie this back in with the magician? So just like going off on a tangent about Mercury. Um with the magician card, he's able to work with the above and the below. So there's that like aspect of like that focus with Mercury about like being above the horizon, being below, being above on the other side, and then below, and like the first house and the sixth house. And it's like it keeps coming back, right? So he's able to work with this divine power that's above, as well as everything that's like rooted in like his like concrete reality here on earth, right? And I think that with Mercury, it's also about like, the typical planetary associations are like communication and like how we process things like mentally, our thoughts, our minds. And with the magician, like there's so much of our personal power comes from our thoughts and like so much of our ability to like do things comes from like our ability to be like actually in control of our own mind and to actually like use it productively and powerfully. So I think that you have to recognize like the importance of your mind. And even with like the Mercury retrograde stuff and like needing to like go with the flow or like, you know, keep an open mind about like how things work, that like keep an open mind thing, I think is really big with both the magician card and Mercury. It's like you need to be able to control your mind, but you also need to be able to keep your mind open to the idea that you don't always know the best path. And sometimes as you're moving forward, like things will change and then you need to like reassess and you need to be constantly thinking about like, okay, how can I best approach this? How can I best use the resources at my disposal and keep in mind my bigger goals at all times as well. All right, so this is just a simple tarot spread that I created about the Magician card or based on it. And I would probably, if I were using it, also be working with the Magician card in other ways, like keeping it out where I can see it, whatever. But I'll talk about that in the next section of the video. Um, but like when you did this spread, you could like put the Magician aside so he's like visible and you're like really focusing on his energy while you're doing the spread. So this would be a spread for when you are trying to work towards a goal, when you're trying to create something, when you're trying to tap into your like potential and your abilities. Or assess them when you're trying to take like a big first step for something that like really matters to you. This would be a good spread for that. So it's just like you start with the middle card, you're you in this situation, and then like below you would be like your passion, like what you're trying to like really manifest here. And then your focus, your thoughts, your abilities, your resources, those would go around the first two cards. And then the potential, like your highest potential would go at the top. And it's just a fun spread, I think, but I find it to be pretty effective. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. All right, so just a few more ideas on how to work with the Magician card. Like I mentioned with the Fool card video, that you can use the tarot cards just like as like visual reminders or for like manifestation purposes or like meditation purposes, just like really like keeping it out somewhere where you can see it or just like thinking about it regularly, writing about it, how you want to sort of embody the archetype in some way or how you want to like draw on the concepts from the card to like do something in your life or to like change your mindset or whatever. So I think that, that can be really powerful with any of the cards. Um, then also with the magician, you can use it for working with Mercury, the planet. You can use it for working your way through Mercury retrogrades and like trying to find a healthier way to view them and like to work with them instead of just like fearing them or like viewing them just negatively. You can also use the magician card when like thinking about the role that Mercury plays in your chart and like how strong is it? Like what kind of condition is it in? I'm going to recommend the book Hellenistic Astrology by Chris Brennan in the comments, which is like a great book for for like analyzing the condition of a planet. I mean, he goes through all the techniques, so I won't get into that here. But like also, if you have Gemini or Virgo rising, then like Mercury's your chart ruler. It's like going to be really important to you. If it's in like really close aspect to something else in your chart, if it is angular in your chart, like there's all these different ways that Mercury could stand out more for you than maybe someone else. Um, and different ways that it could be in a better or worse position or condition in your chart, and that you could try to like work with it, like understanding like basically where it's coming from. Um, so there's all of that. And then there's also the idea that like everybody has a natal Mercury in their chart somewhere, and you're going to have like major transits to it throughout your life. And I mean, like Mercury itself moves so quickly that unless it's like stationing or something on top of another placement in your chart, like you're probably not going to like really feel those Mercury retrogrades, although you might, especially if you're a more mercurial person, like that Mercury is playing a bigger role for you, or if you're in like a Mercury led perfection year or Mercury is like leading your like solar return chart for the year or something like that. Um, but anyway, everyone's going to really feel some of the major transits to their natal Mercury. Like if like Pluto is on your Mercury, for example, or Saturn or like something like that, then you're going to feel that. And so like working your way through those transits um, by using the magician card and like thinking about like the power of your own thoughts and like the ability of your mind to affect your reality and thinking about like your relationship to focus and um, to taking actions toward goals and to commitment and to your like own awareness of like your own resources and your own power and your own abilities and your own potential. So I think that you can use the card tied in with like an astrological practice as well. So um, I'm going to share some of my favorite magician cards now. All right, so I just wanted to share some of my absolute favorite magician cards. They I tend to like the ones that really keep some of that symbolism from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I really love like the positioning of the arms and the tools and all of that. So I tend to like the more traditional ones, I guess, for the magician. Um, but one of my favorites is actually the Luna Le Pen one in the bunny there in the top right, because it's just adorable, but then also, like, it keeps all the symbolism and is, like, just as powerful, but, like, it's a rabbit, so it's amazing. Um, and if you do, I'm, like, gonna include links to all the decks, but, like, be careful purchasing that one because there are so many knockoffs out there, it's ridiculous. Like, it's not going to be $20. Like, if you look and it's $20, it's definitely fake, so just keep an eye out. The one that I link to is authentic and comes with, like, a card, like, certifying its authenticity. So there's that. But one of my favorite decks is Terror of the Witch's Garden, and I talked about it. I mean, I talked about all of these in maybe not the rabbit one, but the other ones I talked about in my favorite tarot decks video. So if you want to hear more about them and see more cards from them, check that video out. But the Tarot of the Witch's Garden is the one in the bottom left there, and I think that one is just like so beautiful and just as powerful as the original. It has all like the symbolism and everything, but just like really beautiful. And I love the planets in the True Heart Intuitive Magician card in the bottom middle there. Um, that's pretty neat just because like it really just brings into the like it just like makes it so much clearer about like how she's like working with the power of the cosmos to like create her reality. So that's amazing. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned something or found it interesting. I would like to also ask that if you thought this was a cool video and you want to see more of my stuff, then just like and subscribe, please. And also, I have several other videos up and more to come. So keep an eye out.